Yes, hello from my side also. And like Mia said at the beginning, that this year we tried to include our audience more often than just putting them in the listener format. And that's why we are having now this small, but I think very fruitful discussion session. I will first introduce the purpose of this session. I will give you the 4 topics around which you can form groups, and you will have enough time to discuss in the groups what could be the answers for the proposed questions that I will give you for each group. And in the very end, I will explain how exactly we are forming the groups. Okay, so it might be like interesting question why we are having this kind of discussion session maybe quite early in the seminar and not in the end of the day. But the idea is that we would really like to activate you as the listeners for upcoming presentation. As you can see from the slides, more or less all those group discussion topics are around the topics which will be presented later in the afternoon by the scientists who have done really research work around these topics. But for you, this is the point where you can actually activate your own thinking around the same topics, and then actually the presenters who will give their speech afternoon can pick up some of the ideas that you hold in your group. And maybe they can give you some answer based on their research, so they will quickly know where to focus more and which are the aspects that people here in the audience are already knowing. And one very last group discussion topic is actually one of the goals from the SciCar project in general, how to attract the undergraduates to take the research in science education in a very high level, in a PhD study level, and later on becoming a scientist in this area. So I will now introduce the questions. So the first group will get this kind of topic. How should the school's education prepare students for dealing with challenging issues which might not even know at the moment? So all this this goes along maybe with this climate change mitigation presentation in the afternoon, so you can already start the discussion or propose ideas, what can schools actually do, and then later on, when you hear the presentation, you are already more or less in the same picture with the presenter. And please don't take just this climate change mitigation. I have here said issues not even known at the moment. So how can we prepare students dealing with something that might happen in the next 20 years, but we don't know what this is, or happens next 5 years? So this is for the group 1. For the group 2, this is around students' motivation and what can we do in science classes to raise students' motivation and why we should do this. Because this has always been a topic around many years, and we are still talking about this. There is something which is undiscovered. So maybe when you talk with your peers in a group, maybe you will come up with some, I don't know, hidden ideas which are not presented to the audience before, and then later on can maybe pick up something for her presentation here. For the group 3, this is like maybe the most SciCar topic. Essential competencies needed in science-related careers. Again, we all know something, and we might think that this is like a trivial, but when we haven't said it to the others, then others might not know. Again, let's discover those hidden ideas, hidden competencies that maybe in the first place we don't think that are related or needed in science-related careers. Again, for you, a perfect place to share your ideas and learn from other experiences. And this is the last one. What can universities do to attract undergraduates to take research in education? And here again, please don't just focus on should they provide some kind of special courses, trainings, or so on, but think also from the university staff perspective. Which kind of support might those people need who are preparing future scientists in educational fields? However, they might not know at the moment that they are doing this, because person can decide later, maybe after master thesis, that he or she wants to do some kind of research in science education. So I will leave those 4 topics in front of you, and I will very shortly explain how we will form the groups. But first, I have one message for the people who are watching us live, and then Mia as another one. The first message from me is that also we are doing our group work here, but please think also along with those questions. Find the one that is most attractive to you, and later on, you can also hear what our groups think about this kind of topic, because later after lunch, we have organized the work in a way that you will choose, maybe during the lunchtime, one presenter from your group, and this presenter comes here in front of the audience, and there's a really possibility to speak the whole audience about the ideas, what they have discussed or what they have discovered or what they have found the most important. So those of you who are at home or office or doing something else and not being here at the moment, please think along. You have also a possibility to listen what others have said here in this room. And now Mia can tell other message.
I ask now everybody who is online to have a lunch break, and we meet 1:15. But those who are here, please stay, and Regina will share the ideas how to divide the groups. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And hello once again. And now the idea for the next 30 minutes is that the presenter from each of the 4 groups will come here and just tell around maybe 5 to 6 minutes what were the main discussion points in your group, or do you have any suggestions you would like to give around those topics? And we will go in a way that we will start with the first group, and I will give the microphone. So from the first group, who would like to make a short conclusion? Okay. And introduce yourself. Yes.
Hi, I am Ulle. My education is physics and PhD in environmental physics. So I have long time worked in the university and then in the ministry, and then and by now I am working for the Youth Academy of Tartu University. So we are proposing for school classes such experimental work in the University of Tartu. But I would thank my colleagues from the group first, so for trusting me to make the summary. How can school prepare students to meet unknown? As first, we have discussed that it's required to give to students strong confidence about the environment around us, and this can be done only by good science education, so that the students can decide by themselves and by their knowledge and skills about surrounding world, about very different news which come from social world. So the news which are coming from media and social media. So now an example can be that somebody is writing that, oh, in Estonia will be tomorrow the hurricane and the 8-meter waves can come to Tallinn. So it's probably science education which could help students to decide, is it probable or very few, very few probability. So it's, but then the most or even more important question is how to teach what to do if some unknown events can happen, and how to bring to school those new situations which we have nowadays, because in most school programs and such kind of questions are missing at all. So it's not in learn books, so only teachers can bring this new knowledge into school and bring it to students. So it's a question about what teachers know about those unknown and probably coming problems, and how they can teach students to meet this. And Crystal brought a good example of already existing program in Estonia, which deals with climate challenges, and they try to, which is guided by university students. So because the new ideas and new knowledge is always coming from the universities. It's not existing in general teacher community. And this Crystal's project or program, they try to define what are the knowledge and skills which students knew or should know about climate change, and try then you try also to educate teachers, or yes. So it's probably the way, the positive way out can be just renovation or changing of teacher training and bringing such new ideas into teacher training. One point more was that some students already have anxiety about climate change and climate anxiety. And here, when we are going to teach the meeting with unknown, it's important not to let students think in the way that, oh, tomorrow will be something terrible, and the next day will be more terrible things. So it's important not to give them such anxiety. So again, this is better to give them the strong and adequate picture of first of nature and environment around us, which helps them to be some strong personalities.
Thank you for the first group. This was an excellent point to make a stop, because after this discussion session, you can hear from the Marianne how about climate competencies. So the climate link is very good here. So from the group 2, about motivation. Yes, Rahel, please. I will give you this one also.
I have.
Okay.
I'm Rachel Mamlok-Naaman from the Weizmann Institute of Science. I'm here with the SciCar project together with Professor Ron Blonder. We are in charge of it in our Department of Science Teaching. In addition, I'm chairing the Division of Education at the European Chemical Society, and I used to be a titular member at the IUPAC, the CC, Committee on Chemistry Education. Something else about my past and future in our department. I also was the head of the Department of Science Teaching. I also chaired the Teaching Certificate License Program, and I take part today in the leading team of Professional Learning Communities, which is a very nice project which is ongoing in Israel, but maybe this is for next year. We'll talk about it. So if we are talking about motivation, there were quite a lot of issues which were raised. And in our group, we had Leo, Monica, Christy, Mari, and myself. And we started with brainstorming and how to deal with it and what to do with it. And it was about outdoor activities were suggested, and in order to encourage students, especially in elementary and in secondary school, to like what they see around them. Then we were talking about, it was Leo who suggested taking the smartphone and using it to understanding what's going on around us, not just, for the social media. Christy suggested, for example, ideas about survival. If we need to survive somewhere, what do we need, with a certain question, of course, and of course experiments at home and looking at what can we do, what's going on at home, in the kitchen, outside, and the micro world around there. And my addition was that students usually, they don't care not about how does the television function or the microwave, nothing, they don't care. We're just pushing the button. There was a survey which I myself conducted about what's interesting students, and when it came to their bodies or to their micro, sub-micro environment, then they were enthusiastic. Namely, if we talked about asthma, for example, why is it, what is it? They know they have a mother, a grandmother, or maybe themselves. So it's about the air pollution, water pollution, or if we are talking about the body, the human body and what's going on with the blood vessels, they were also something that had to do with them specifically, because this is the age. They don't look immediately at the global ideas and global things. But in our group, we certainly connected the motivation also to question number one, because they are today, they can, they are, fronted, or they can familiarize with what's going on everywhere, and they started to get interested. For example, a history teacher can talk about what's happening with the immigrants from Ukraine, and it has an impact on other kind of components like the culture, like economy, and so on. So we wanted to pack it out, and the suggestion was to use driving questions, to teach according to driving questions, and it's something that goes on for many, many years, and one of the leaders of this idea is Professor Joe Krejcik from Michigan State University. And there was, for example, driving questions, and we take the ideas about the smartphones. Smartphones can be used in different ways of understanding science. Here, there was an idea that the students will brainstorm and think about the questions that they want to ask about it. Questions about how they can use it in other devices at home, or how can it be done. and actually it's based on physics principles. Then, how will your body react while climbing the Kilimanjaro? It's in biology. I told them that I know how will my body react and why, but what about them? What about the Kilimanjaro? What about height? What does it do to us, and how? We can add to it about the Kilimanjaro, about the boiling of liquids, of water, of high elevation, low elevation, and there are a lot of questions to be asked here. What kind of food do we take with us, and so on. Another one, for example, how can we examine the air quality around our house or our school, not more? And this is also something that has to be done. Then another one, why do puddles dry during the winter? Because we know in the winter the temperature is low. And in order to have this evaporation, maybe we need higher temperature, so it's a misconception, we need to cope with it. Another one, and I have 3 and I finish, why shouldn't we use disposable plates? Why? It's so easy, and why does it harm climate? So here we're talking about polymers and everything around it. How will we be able to survive in extreme weather conditions? This was Christy with the survival, and she said the teacher has to be charismatic, but not all the teachers are charismatic, so we need to think about other things. And last, what is the benefit of vaccination, which is very close to what happened with the COVID, and somehow trying to cope with superstitions. So by this, we are talking about maybe how students will think a little bit out of the box.
Thank you, Rahel, and I'm sure that Ron can very nicely continue from the motivation presentation here. So, group number 3, who would like to talk? Janari, I will give the microphone for you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Janari. I'm from the University of Tartu. It took some time to form our group, but when we eventually did, there were many experts and me. So first, what we discussed was how can we even know what the future holds? And what is a science-related career, right? Because even a fisherman needs some sort of science, or his instruments are based on science. So everyone needs science, right? There's food science. Someone working in the kitchen needs to know some chemistry. So basically everyone would need to know some kind of competences for the future. Now, what would they be? Someone mentioned curiosity. For example, knowing how, or being interested in how things are made of, like breaking apart your computer, something like this. But in the end, we landed on communication and being prepared for something that we do not know, or what we don't know how the future is going to turn out. So we need to talk to each other, understand that everyone is different. We have differences in understanding the future, the present, and even the past. We need to collaborate, and together we can be better prepared for the future, because each of us is our own expert in different area. So, yeah, I think that was the conclusion that we made. To be prepared for something we don't know, we need to be curious, and we need to be adaptable. Yeah, I think that was the word, adaptable. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Janari. And now, the last group. Let's go towards universities.
So we will have lost the most active participant, Helene. And it was not my own choice to be here, right? right now, but okay, we had Hailey in our group, Ron, Helene, as I said, Meili, Mario, and that's all. Yeah, exactly. I am Katrin Vaino, a researcher and a teacher educator from the University of Tartu, Center for Science Education. So it took a long time from us to introduce each other. We did like 2 turns, first in Estonian, then in English. So, but now we at least know each other well. So then we had many ideas, but if I miss something, then you will, you know, compile my ideas. So first, the first idea was that we should involve more student teachers, even bachelor teachers, to the projects, maybe research, maybe developmental projects that are carried on in our university quite early on. Not only that they do like masters or this is part of the research, right? But it could be even more. So, and I think, yeah, this could be a gap really that we could fill. Hailey said that it's quite normal in your unit that, okay. So this might be one thing. Then the track, I don't know, researcher track in education is kind of specific as it is in medicine, maybe, that people become first, they want to become a teacher, then they maybe teach, and then they think, why not to actually research the thing called education, right? So, and now the question is how to, let's say, hire those potential people to PhD studies, doing some more research already. And we found that the bridge, kind of flexible bridge for it, could be a micro-funding scheme, but this cannot be only, that I started to think right now here, that it cannot be only kind of university's business, because university cannot solve all problems in society. It could be, it should be more societal thing that could support this track. So, but anyway, micro-fundings for teachers who are teaching, who have lots of hours in school or lessons in school, but they need some time. And those who are interested, they just think about that, oh, I may be interested in doing research. I will try it. And those projects could be really like micro-projects, like action research projects. They study their own things that are really important to those teachers that come from, you know, grassroots level. So, and then they could see and they apply for these schemas, the calls that are announced, and there are also maybe conferences designed for those beginning researchers, and it well builds a bridge between school and the further PhD studies, because now, after doing this small research, they have something already in their, you know, to present when starting the real PhD. So, and maybe some, as we discussed in our group, some people may recognize that this is not for me, actually. Doing research, this is not actually for me, because it's like too late if you are already a PhD student to recognize that, no, this is not to me. I'd like to be just a teacher or something like that. And yeah, there was one idea more. It came from me, actually, that how about 2 years licentiate programs? Did I spell it right? I don't know. That we have many PhD students, not many, but we still have them, who quit after some years. But if it would be broken down to like 2 years and 2 years, maybe they still are able to finish the 2 years program. They get the kind of, you know, certificate, and they still, you know, it gives more motivation maybe to at least finish this stage. So we didn't do research on that really in our group. We don't know what are the kind of, maybe there are pros and cons in different countries it has been used, but it was just an idea. That's all. Thank you. Or, I don't know. Would you like to?
Okay, thank you, Katrin. And well, this is almost the end of the discussion session. But do we have one or two quick comments from the audience against all over the topics? Or you can keep your questions for the upcoming presentations, because you more or less discussed around the topics that are upcoming presentations, or in the end of the day in the panel discussion. I guess point 3 and 4 are especially part of the panel discussion also. Okay, I guess we don't have any more direct comments in this session, so thank you for all actively participating and expressing your ideas for the audience here and online. So thank you.